Hello, this is Eli. I'm your friendly vegan van lifer, and I've been successfully living in this van that I built for 5 years, and so I've learned quite a lot. So today I'm here to share with you some of my secret hacks, which are cheap, easy, and effective, and will hopefully make your life a little smoother, regardless of whether you're a veteran road warrior or whether you're just starting your journey. Life out here can be incredibly unforgiving, so it's good to be prepared. This way you'll be ready to go out on your van adventure, see the world, and play to your heart's content. So here are my top 10 hacks which will give you the confidence to help solve the problems wherever they happen and get you back along your journey. Here is tip number 1, magnets. Magnets are incredibly useful, and you'll see all throughout my build that I've used them in innumerable ways. When I'm transporting everything I own, things tend to rattle around a lot. So this is one of my favorite applications of magnets here. You can see I can just take my knives off, super easy. They're really accessible right here by my stove. My knives definitely stay placed and don't go anywhere. I also love using magnets for keeping my pans in place. You can just see they stay right there, even over the bumpiest of roads. Tip number 2, tape. Tape is another one of those things that should be in everybody's toolbox. It's small, easy to transport, cheap and effective. There's a ton of different types of tape. One of my favorites is this Gorilla tape, which is incredibly strong and sticky. Probably my second favorite type of tape is this Gaffer's tape, which is also strong, but sticks just well enough and doesn't leave a sticky residue. My third tape is just a nice standard clear tape. Pro tip, remember to fold the corner over here so you don't lose the edge, and otherwise it's impossible to find it when you need it. Fourth is this metallic tape here. Lastly, if you do any of your own electrical work, I'd have obviously some electrical tape. Tip number 3 is zip ties. Zip ties are another one of those things that are incredibly compact, easy to transport, efficient and cheap and strong. It's not sexy, but it is certainly effective. These things will solve interesting problems that you didn't even anticipate beforehand. I didn't know where else to put my Starlink router, so I just zip tied it here to the ceiling. So I also used zip ties to secure this incredibly long Starlink cable up in the ceiling where I had some free space. Tip number 4 is shock cord. I tend to use the 1/8 inch shock cord. It's very easy to tie. It's strong. It's like the right tension. Sometimes I'll use 1/4 inch for heavier duty requirements, but you can see here I've actually taken the time just to make a whole bunch of basically big rubber bands here. These things are, I just keep them on a little carabiner here. I can take them off nice and easy and then quickly contain the chaos. Tip number 5, twisty ties. Check out these industrial strength twisty ties. Aren't these things amazing? So these things, they've got this like nice grippy rubberized feeling to them, so you can like twist them around stuff and they will like just stick to it. They're super strong, and I feel like I can trust these things. Twisty tie here, and I can get exactly the shot I want now. Tip number 6 is cardboard, believe it or not. Cardboard, I actually save all of my Amazon boxes up to a certain point. I store them stacked flat behind my seat, like, put pieces of it underneath the van when I have to get under the van and I don't want to be like on rocks or mud. I've made dividers for my drawers with these things. Here are some of the cardboard dividers I created to keep everything nice and organized. I've made blackout over my fan vent here because I'm here in Alaska and there's so much light. I highly recommend keeping a couple extra pieces of it if you have a place to store it. Next tip is washcloths. I've decided to go paper towel free, so I use exclusively washcloths. I use them in the kitchen. I'll take an Insta bath with them sometimes if hot water, soap, low water usage bath on the road. Washcloths are the best. Next tip is parachute cord. This stuff is incredibly strong, very easy to tie knots with it. The knots stay very well. You'll find that you can solve all sorts of problems with parachute cord here. just know that when you cut it off, if you don't burn the ends, it'll kind of like fray out like this. So I'll always have a little pair of scissors with me. I cut off the ends. Got this handy dandy little torch, which is amazingly useful here, and just burn the ends so that they don't fray. This stuff is absolute lifesaver. The next tip is having a small toolbox. It doesn't take much, and I think having just a small set of tools can help give you the confidence to know that you can fix all sorts of problems that might happen to your van out in the middle of nowhere. So I want to talk about some very basic tools that you should consider. Things like Phillips and flathead screwdrivers, types of pairs of pliers. Just to give you some ideas, I keep a whole assortment of screws and bolts and nuts. I have drills and drill bits and lots of different other bits. I have a whole collection of different types of wrenches, Allen wrenches, tin snips, things like wire and tubing for my water, metal wire and hose clamp, different types of glue and caulking. Haha, caulking. So a jigsaw, angle grinder, and sawzall. Basically, I built my entire van out of this box. Here's an example of my shoe rack storage here up front. You can see it's a nice way to store my juggling balls and all sorts of other stuff. So this is a hacky solution to a problem that I have where I was trying to figure out how to grow sprouts in my van. Check out these fresh sprouts, and then the water just drains straight into my sink. Since they're so tasty. So I was looking for a place for my drill, which was highly accessible and didn't take up a bunch of space. Magnet plus tape plus epoxy plus drill equals great storage space for my drill. Ha! Every square inch is sacred. If my back hurts, I want it to be this easy to do this. My back says hallelujah. So here's another hacky mashup, is I needed to figure out where to put my hydrofoils because they take up a lot of space, but I was able to put them up in the ceiling here. And for my final hacky mashup, I needed a place to put my PlayStation there, as well as my monitor. So I actually tied it up in the ceiling here. So I used the L-track for that, along with parachute cord. And you can see how I use the shock cords to prevent getting the electrical cords from getting stuck in the door like this. And then the monitor I had to mount on the back, again using the L-track, along with magnets, tape, and zip ties. So that's it. That's my ultimate hacky solution to get my PlayStation up in the ceiling and out of the way. So those are my top 10 hacks, and I will leave you with one final use for cardboard.
Hey buddy, could you spare a like?
Yes, Grandma. Yes, that's right. It's the button on the bottom. That's all I got. Hope this has been useful for you. Go get out there, be your best self, love you, and love the planet.